Hello and welcome to the G3 Pulse podcast. Joining me today is Troy Paul, co-founder and CEO of SGG Media, a micro-influencer focused sports media company with over 1,700 influencers and 43 million followers. Is that correct, Troy? Am I up to date on there? And thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Will. Actually, to date now, we're just over 2,000 total influencers that we represent, with a collective following of 65 million. So a little bit of growth in the last couple of months, which has been exciting.
I'd say start it again, but actually it shows kind of what growth trajectory you're on. So I'm not going to start again. So you founded the company back in 2020. What hurdles did you face when launching the company, and how have you overcome them in that time?
Every hurdle that a startup goes through in the beginning, which is kind of finding our identity. We thought we had a good idea with micro-influencers, and just to provide a little bit of background on kind of what our business does and who we represent. Launched the business in 2020, like you said. I grew up a huge sports fan, huge sports gambler. And I saw that in the last couple of years, I was consuming my sports information, or at least the way I was consuming it was shifting. And it was shifting from going to ESPN and reading articles online to exclusively social media. And that I was finding out team news and trades and rumors through Woj bombs on Twitter and through my favorite Instagram creators rather than online. So that's something I was fascinated about. And I thought with the legalization of sports betting in the US that there was a media play to be had with influencers and with content creators in this changing landscape. So what SGG did is we went out and we started to sign, we like to call them the micro-influencer. This is the best example I can give is this is not the ex-athlete or the Jake Pauls of the world. This is your everyday sports fan who grew up in New York, unless it was a massive New York Knicks fan. So they created a Twitter and Instagram account where they would just exclusively post Knicks content, whether it's trades, news, rumors, lines, memes, all things Knicks all the time. And this account built up a following of roughly, let's say, 20 to 30,000 followers, highly targeted to New York, highly targeted to basketball. The struggle that this account has is that they're still a small fish in a pretty large pond. If they were going to, major media companies and operators trying to pitch advertising or trying to pitch to create content for them, it's really difficult for the operator to sign them on just because they don't really move the needle enough. Even though they do have a great audience, they're just not quite to that level to be worth the time. Now, there's thousands of these accounts on social media. So what SGG did and what our goal was to kind of create an environment where these small accounts can come together under one umbrella and actually, move the needle and be able to make some waves. So that's what we started to do. We started to sign these micro-influencer accounts. In the early days, it was, one or two or five at a time. And then over time, we continued to grow, and eventually we hit a few hundred. And now today we're at a few thousand that we represent.
Not 1,700, 2,000 sports content creators and influencers. I must say, I did have to ask our social media manager, Lauren, about what a micro-influencer exactly was. And it's something to do with the number of followers, isn't it?
Yeah, on like industry standard term, it's like an account that has roughly between 5,000 and under 100,000 followers would classify you as a micro-influencer. Our specific arena within that is sports accounts. So we're talking about New York Giants fan 123 and Philadelphia Eagles accounts. So we're focused on the team specific fan accounts for sports across the US.
And how do you go about managing and leveraging such a big network to drive engagement and growth for your clients? And what strategies have you found to be particularly successful?
Yeah, a lot of pain at the start. Working with two influencers can be a lot, let alone 2,000. So there was a lot of trial and error involved with how do we optimize this, especially when you're working at such scale. We found major breakthroughs when we started to work with kind of some third-party partners in AI and in ways to actually optimize our campaigns. We're at a point now, and this took many years and a lot of mistakes to get here, But we're at a point now where when we run a campaign for FanDuel, let's say, we can actually go into a third party vendor and our team can design a tweet, for instance, and we can put in the language and the compliance language and the graphic itself. And then we can click one button and it can get distributed to whichever subset of accounts it is we're looking to post. So like if it's an account or if it's a post about the Boston Celtics who are in the finals right now, we can run that post with only Boston Celtics accounts and we can have, I guess, creative control over that content, which has really helped to, I guess, optimize our campaigns as well as like ensure quality compliance and making sure we're doing everything the right way.
And the way, since 2020 and the kind of COVID period, the way people consume media has drastically changed as well. How would you say that SGG Media has adapted to these changes, particularly with younger generations who have cut that cable cord and have shifted to social media platforms for their forms of entertainment?
Yeah, it's really interesting to see. Like if you watch, I'm 26 now, so I guess I'm getting a little older. But if you even look at people my age, when we're watching our favorite sports games, like we have multiple screens going at once. We have the game on the TV. We're probably streaming it and not using cable. And then we have our phones out and we're on Twitter, Instagram the whole time to see what crazy news is coming out during the game. So it's just such an evolving landscape. And you're correct. Even since 2020, the game has changed. I found that, I guess, the most exciting arena that we've been kind of diving into in the last 18 months that's changing in terms of media has been the idea of live streaming, and that anyone can be like a live host. Anyone can commentate on a game or on a moment or on some news, whatever it is. And you don't have to be a well-trained media personality. You can just be a content creator with a platform and you can go live directly to your followers on Instagram. And that's exciting. And that changes how live streaming content can be delivered. And it also changes where even major leagues or media outlets, where they can stream their content. It doesn't have to be through a production studio anymore on television. It doesn't even have to be through an OTT network on a major website. You can run live streaming distribution directly to content creators and directly to their audience relatively cost effectively. So I guess that's an example of a growing area that we've been getting very involved in.
And how does that impact the wagering side? So I get where you're coming from with regard to the watching of sports, being able to commentate and opine on a match as it's going. But is there a betting angle here?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you think about, let's take the FanDuel TV Plus, right? And they're giving their sports picks for the upcoming Celtics game, which is tomorrow. If you're watching it on FanDuel TV Plus, you may not know at what time they're going live and when they're going to give their same game parlay, because you don't care enough to make it like a destination. I have to be here to watch this. So you very well may miss it. But if you're on Instagram, which we all are most of the day, and you see your favorite sports betting influencer goes live, and when someone goes live on a social media platform, it pushes them to the front of the page, you can click on it because you're already on the platform. And then if they're talking about their favorite same game parlay for the Celtics game, which is taking place tomorrow or tonight, you are now consuming information and picks and things to do with gambling that you otherwise wouldn't have access to or wouldn't even know is being live streamed. That's like an example of like live streaming through content creators can pick up audiences that didn't even know they wanted to watch this, but now because it's in front of them, they love it.
And what impact has this live streaming had on SGG Media as a business? Have you experienced a significant push in sports companies running content directly through your influencers?
Yeah, it's been a major push for us. It was really kind of dropped on our lap about a year ago, where we realized that our creators can live stream, and some of them already are. So we started to run some test campaigns with some partners and kind of get some data back in terms of like concurrent viewers and watch hours. And we were noticing that not only were their fans tuning in, they were staying. So we knew that there might be something there from a business standpoint. And then in terms of like, I guess, exact examples, we've seen a lot of interest through, we call them like up and coming sports. If you've seen online there's the World Slap Fighting Championships or the Putt League Championships, or these just wild sports that you can wager on. You can bet on them through FanDuel and through DraftKings, that are super, super entertaining to watch. You just need to realize how to watch it. A lot of people don't know where they can watch it, or it's not a destination sport. But if you start watching it, you stay because it's wildly entertaining. That's been a big, I guess, partner growth area for us, where we've partnered with the Pro League Network and we've partnered with the World Highlight League to live stream their sports through our content creators and kind of start to build an audience around these new and exciting sports that are coming around.
And how are those partnerships struck up? Is it you typically approaching them, or is it that they see what you're doing online and on social media and they come to you?
It varies. We've been in the space for quite a while now, and the early years were a lot of trying to send out cold emails and do all the startup pains that come along with it. Luckily, we've had some success with some pretty large players, and it's kind of put us on the map a bit, and that's helped us to get to the point where a lot of these companies are reaching out to us, and they've talked to partners who have worked with us, and they've seen what we've done, and that's led to more deal flow. But it's still a mix. There's still a sales side that goes along with any startup business.
Well, we kicked off the podcast talking about the challenges you faced as a startup, and you touch on it there. But what are your biggest challenges now?
Continuing to scale our influencers, and how do we scale it from 2,000 to 5,000, and then how do we continue to keep up quality standards? That's always I guess a pain point when you're managing content creators. I think in the gaming space itself, there's been a bit of a shift from new user acquisition the last few years when new states were launching and acquisition was hot. Once that kind of changed, there hasn't been as many states launching in the last year. Media strategy shifted from let's get as many new users through the door to, hey, let's retain the ones that we have. Let's make sure that we're the sportsbook that they stay at. All of that comes along with a change in campaign styles and what type of content are we posting and which influencers are we using, and when are we posting. So there's I guess the landscape's always evolving, it's always changing, and that's been an area where we've really had to focus and make some shifts to make sure that we're keeping up with what our partners are looking for.
And I wanted to round out by asking you about what the future is for SGG Media. You've said there about a challenge being scaling up from 2,000 to 5,000, but would you say there are any, whether in the short term or long term, any new projects or expansions on the horizon that you're particularly excited about, especially in terms of diversifying that content and reaching new audiences?
Yeah, I think we touched on streaming, which is really a huge vertical for us that we're rapidly scaling in and digging into. I guess another arena that I'm super passionate about, something that excites me, is the world of iGaming here in the US, and more specifically the live streaming angle that comes along with that. We were lucky enough to partner with a New Jersey casino and PlayStar Casino. They've been an amazing partner. And we launched what really is the first above board legal licensed Twitch live stream here in the US to exclusively stream casino games and to show casino content and to show the UI and the platform that PlayStar has to offer. And that's an arena where if sports gambling's in the fourth inning here in the US, I really believe iGaming's in the first. It's only legal right now in 6 states. So there's a lot of growth to be had, and there's a lot of I guess changing elements that are coming. So for us to be building live streaming style products for iGaming and figuring out how to leverage content creators in that arena, that's another huge opportunity for us that we're excited to tackle.
That does sound interesting. Is that, forgive my ignorance, but is that touching on kind of the affiliate side of iGaming then?
It's not as much affiliate as it is media. Yeah. The idea of creators and influencers streaming slots is nothing new. It's been around in Europe for years now. But no one had launched it here in the United States, at least licensed and legal and working with the gaming operators and kind of doing it above board. So bringing that model that's already been completed in Europe and bringing it here to the States, that was a big push for us. That was a big initiative. It's not really driven as much on affiliate, although there is an affiliate new user component to it. It's more driven on branding and content. And let's show the people in New Jersey why Playstar Casino isn't just a casino to sign up with, why it's the casino to stay with, and kind of that angle.
Yeah, I could see that being a big success, particularly if you make a good fist of it with Playstar. What are the results so far?
They've been promising, absolutely. We launched a show about 2 months ago, and it's just scaling the viewership numbers and scaling the amount of creators we're using. Like any new product, there's some hurdles to overcome in terms of the production and how do we make sure that everything runs smoothly. But it's been on the up and up, and we're happy about it. We're really looking to scale the show to 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, where if you're looking for casino content, it's always there. It's always home with Casino Stream.
I'll leave it there. I've got a few more questions I'd like to ask on that iGaming point, but we'll try and keep it kind of short and sweet. So thank you very much, Troy. Cheers for coming on. I hope we get to talk again, and yeah, just appreciate you taking the time out.
Okay, thanks for having me, Will.
I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you want to watch more, why not subscribe to our channel somewhere here.